it's bad. Me no know what them a talk about. When them say it's mad. When everywhere in the world have problem, everywhere need God. Tell them easy no man. Come you love say it's bad. Come take a look. More food to eat and cook. More places to see than you read in a book. If you're ready for a good time, let the good vibes steal your heart like a cook. But look, don't trouble or you'll get shook. Say it sweet, you'll get hooked. Every other trip that you take won't compare to the same trip that you took. Me don't know about you.
We have hot topics, lots of them. Last week I really wanted to come because it was a topic that I wanted to talk about, and but it's just get every week it's something different. It's just something different. But don't get dismayed. I think one of the things about us is that we're very reactive. We are not proactive at all. Whenever something, Kitishans like something to talk about. The good thing about it is that the talk doesn't stay for too long. It's about 9 days and it dies off, and that is beneficial to some people who are in a position to make a difference, because they all say the same thing. They put their hands up. Don't worry about that. After 9 days, they would not be talking about it again, and something else new would come up. That is the attitude, and that is something that we have to seriously look into. 16 murders, 6 months. It is not good, and we are not blaming, because we look at it, and it's something. Now that the Labour government in power, I'm glad, because you're hearing people who used to blame before the government was doing this, now they're saying the government is not the ones who are taking up arms. It is something that is a vision or a direction I wanted people to start looking into. When we start playing the blame game, we are not going to find solutions. And that is one of the biggest problems that we are having. Everybody start to point on certain things that pose problem. Let us be constructive in our criticism. If we really want to find solutions, let us talk about things that are real, not from a biased standpoint, not from a provocative standpoint, not from a violent standpoint, but from a factual point of view. These are the things that we have to start looking at. Start looking at what contributes to the problems that we are having. And at the end of the day, somebody has to take responsibility. That's what it is. If it points to you, then you have to take the responsibility. Because when we look at the situations that we are in right now, we thought that we were doing, or we voted for better. So if you think you vote for better and things are happening the same way, then of course the government is going to get blamed. If when you're campaigning and you say that you're going to do something and then you do otherwise, then you have to take the responsibility. And this is the way that we have to start to approach. People are dying, fathers, brothers, sisters, relatives, friends. They are not coming back. It's not a movie. This week, I felt like I was in a movie. I was like, okay, he's out of the skit. He has no more lines. Because you think that when these people are killed, they're coming back. How can somebody in their right mind, humans, but it has been happening from the beginning. Surprise, surprise, surprise. From the beginning of times. Those people who are Bible scholars who always like to talk about what the Bible says. The Bible says in the last days, man's heart is going to wax cold and becomes desperately wicked. So is this saying that, and I'm not a pastor in any way, because I'm not a religious fanatic. I don't believe in religion, as a matter of fact. But in order for you to communicate, you have to say what they know. And so you equip yourself for discussions like that. So we are in the last days, according to Christians, because when you see what is happening, it can't get any worse than that. You look at the weather pattern, and what do you think? Earth is retaliating. When you have too much negative energy, that is what happens. After a while, it's going to explode. And then we are all going to suffer. The problem is that this earth must have been created with love. Because, for you, when you stay off and look at earth, not the people in it, but the natural beauty that it possesses, it must have been created in love. And so when you have all this negative energy, Earth is not accustomed to that, and it's living, it's alive, it's energy. And when you continue feeding negative energy, what are you going to have? And that is the problem that we're having right now. The problem that we're having is that young people, and not just young people, because at the end of the day, we have to blame ourselves, because it means that we failed them. Parents have failed their children. I can't seem to understand how the police can't seem to get leads. You know how many unsolved murders that there from since when we started in 1995, yeah, when we started to have that, I mean, series it was of murders. You know how many unsolved murders there are? So there means that all of those criminals are still out there. So what do you expect? Until you can start solving some of these problems, you're going to always have these problems, because it's retaliation. You kill my friend, you kill my brother, I'm going to kill your brother, your sister, your father, your mother. And that is what it comes down to. We look at some of the programs that the government introduced, the social programs that are becoming social issues, and the topics that people are debating. You talk about the peace program. We know for a fact, when we do our maths, we do the stats, we realize the peace program was working. But a lot of people are jumping up, and I know what you're going to say, a lot of people are flying high, calling them programs without proper information. Sit down and analyze the situation. The peace program started in 2019. It's a program. It is a program where people who had issues, who were incarcerated, and when you're incarcerated and you have a criminal record, you can't find jobs. So at the end of the day, you give these people a chance to become self-employed. It is not just giving them money. It's not just giving them a job. You have to rehabilitate them. That is what the program had. The program had counselors, people who had mental issues. You had psychiatrists. You had people there who were molding these people back into normal lives. COVID came in 2020. We had a series of lockdowns. So it's obvious that these people who were on a 2-year program could not have had the treatment that they should have had. So what happened? Those people on that program should have been extended, not just paying them money, because we're looking at the monies that they have been paid. The peace program, you can't say that everybody who are on the program have committed crimes. Maybe some people who are not on the program, they're the ones who are doing it. You can't just run, but we knew that the crime rate had basically dwindled after the program was initiated. So there was some good in the program. So what I'm saying is, instead of revamping or getting rid of, sit down, and this is what I have a problem. Government doesn't change. People do. It is the government. The government has the same responsibilities, whether it's Labour, PAM, PLP, CCM, or NRPs in office. They have the same responsibility, the same commitments to the people. So whenever you have a party that would have exited government and another one comes in, if you are really interested in the good of the people as you campaign, then you would sit down and you would have discussions instead of going in and victimizing people who are part of the system, and bringing in back in these old set of people who have not a clue, who was home, sitting down, waiting for government to change so that they can have their turn. That's what it is. It's a turn to enrich yourself. It is not because they care about people. It's basically, it's exactly what it says. We have to seriously start looking at the situation and pay attention to it, because it's not helping us, it's hurting us. If you have a problem with the previous administration, there's some people who were part of the previous administration who might have had a problem themselves, And they would have switched, but everybody should go out and wear a red shirt and said, "Oh, I'm voting for Labour." And there's some people who have voted for Labour who have problems and they're switching. People have a right to. Those are the people that I respect. Those are the people that I respect. I respect people who can look at a situation and come to realization that this is not working and I think I need to make a change. That is what politics is all about. But there's some people, because they're benefiting, they are overlooking what is really happening. But at the end of the day, who is going to suffer? Us. Politicians don't care about you. I come to realize that. They don't care. They use you to get in. They enrich themselves and they forget you. When they come out of office, they're multimillionaires. You are victimized. You have made commitments. And if you can't meet those commitments, you're sent home. And government has to realize that you can't do that, though. You can't send home people. They performed in that position, and the facts are there. You can't send them home because you want to give somebody else a chance to work. It has to stop from every single party perspective. There's certain sensitive areas that you're not going to have them because, of course, you need people who are loyal to you. But simple people, you have a position that is, you're working, you have done a good job, and because you do not support the government in power, you're going to get rid of them. Let's look at the PAP program. There are people who would have made commitments because they had the $500. There are people who went into the banks, they got a loan because they knew that they had $500. These are people who would have taken out a $10,000 loan or $20,000 loan because they want to help themselves. The government campaigned on the fact that they were going to increase the PAP. People voted for that. Don't go on platforms and create an impression and fool people into believing. Because if you on the outside saw it was so bad, you should have said it from the first time. Ask the question, how a government can sustain such a social program. These are things you're supposed to know before you get in, not when you get in, not when people put you in. The same people who put you in, they're suffering. How can government don't have money when a prime minister can have an entourage? I'm not just talking about the present prime minister. An entourage of 7, 8, 9, 10 security. How much body you have so that you want bodyguards to protect? What have you done so that you're so afraid that somebody's going to do you something? Ministers of government have drivers you're accustomed to drive. So how come all of a sudden the road change? Why you want somebody to drive you to and from work? These are what affects the treasury. You have advisors who have absolutely nothing to do, but it's a way of paying people for personal jobs done. We are not seeing the real problems. Social programs are what government should be interested in. That should not be a problem. When you go in, you're supposed to find means and ways of looking after poor people who can't help. You see what the cost of living is like? No, it doesn't affect you because government pay for that. You are so unaware of how much a tin of milk costs because you have privilege of jumping on the plane, going overseas, doing your shopping, sending it back, getting duty-free concession. Why? We are not looking at the real problems here. We are not looking at the issues. If you, the ordinary citizen, would dig or get yourself, take your nose on your head from out of the sand and recognize the kind of corruption that happens in government, integrity in public life pass, when it's going to be effected. They all do the same. Go in, and the first year they can't finish the house. The middle of the first year or the middle of the term, the first term, house done build, another one starting to build. It's a fact. You find the biggest house to live in, government is going to pay for that. Not government, huh? You, the taxpayers. Because trust me, the rate we're going, I broke already. There's nothing else I could do. I can't get broker than I am right now. The economy needs to be stimulated. We saw that stimulation when people were getting that $500. They were able to spend again. And I don't think government, they understand. You have people in there who doesn't understand economics. It's a serious thing. And you don't want anybody can go in and run a country right now in St. Kitts. Because that's what it looks like. And all we do, and I'm sick and tired, honestly, I am sick. When my soldiers giving me problems, I sat down home and I realized, you're wasting your time having radio programs trying to inform and educate people because they just do what they want. Because at the end of the day, and you notice it, when they can't get what they want, they start talking against. It's not about the government doing what it's supposed to do so that the country as a whole can benefit. They care only about themselves. You know how many millionaires are made when governments are in power? You know how many multi-millionaires, people who were struggling, became multi-millionaires overnight? You see, it's a lot of things that we are not aware of, huh? We are not aware of how the politicians behave. We gave them a job. They promised to help us. They promised to create an environment that is conducive for all of us to benefit. I listen, it might be a joke, but I listen. Social media for me, it's a form of entertainment. When I feel stress, I go on Facebook, or somebody would send me little clips, and my heart goes out to the man who says he sent a picture, and this is not whether or not the person would have voted for you. He sent a picture of his house leaking, and it's a simple ask. And people are going to ask for these favors. If you don't have the money, the person who you go to is the government. And I hate it when they find themselves in power. They talk about, you have created that. You have created a country of beggars. Because what you did when you wanted to get in, you were paying people for votes. You think $150 is going to go for 5 years? They're going to come and they're going to ask you. But then, when you're in position now and you don't need to get in, when people call you, you're turning off your phone. You refuse to turn up your windows. Nobody knows which vehicle you're driving in because you have three vehicles driving behind you. You change up your vehicles so fast, all of them. You don't know which vehicle. You think, you're flagging them, and you realize, wrong person. Somebody else is driving the vehicle. And we are fooled every single time. Calculate from your voting age of 18 to your present age, and you see how many times they would have fooled you. They don't care about us. I've said it over and over again. These senseless killing, there must be a way. This is what I said, and I had a discussion with a gentleman yesterday, and he said, oh no, it's not fair. But I say, if you have a peace program, he made sense in the end. If you have a peace program, people are on the program. Why not get bracelets, GPS bracelets, to see where they are at all times? Because the reason why you have this program is because you know these people are capable of wreaking havoc. And so I'm looking at the program and the reason for your program. My reasoning for the program is different. So if you think that you're paying them not to kill, but I feel you're paying them because you want to make sure that they don't have a reason to kill, because they can feed their families and they can live. But if you think that you're paying them not to kill, then why not get GPS bracelets? So you know where these people are at all time, and you can track. If there's a murder committed, you know whether or not that person was there and when. A peace program, it's a continuous program because you're rehabilitating people who would have, and you can, sometimes when you're young, you do silly things. As you go older and you mature, you don't want to do that nonsense anymore. There's some people who are just criminals, and it matters not. It's very difficult to rehabilitate. And if you're going to create a program, you're supposed to be able to identify these people. There's some people who are in prison for misdemeanors. Little things like you're smoking a spliff, little things, you were carrying a knife, and when these people are arrested and charged and convicted, they have a problem. Because most of these jobs ask the question, have you ever been incarcerated? And then realization would hit you that stupid thing that you did when you were 18, 19, 20, is for the rest of your life you would have to suffer. It's not the 10 years or the 5 years that they've been given behind prison bars. When they come out of prison, they're still imprisoned. There's nothing else they can do. Their freedom is basically stripped from them because they're monitored. They're harassed. And so how these people can live normally, they are still human. And human always, when situations get tough, survival mode. Survival mode. And in order for them to survive, this is what they know best: crime. So the peace program was to avoid that. Look, for 2 years, you're in a rehabilitation program. If you didn't look at it that way, look at it this way now. We are going to rehabilitate you. What the government should have done, okay, instead of giving money, create a department where you can find a vocation, because they have skills. If they know how to pick locks and get into people's house, they have skills. So find an area. Washington Archibald used to do that. Help people to develop their skills. Help them, give them a stipend that would help them through the week, because most of these young men, they have children that they have to support, they have to feed themselves, they have to live somewhere. And so you give them a stipend that would help them while you have programs to rehabilitate them. You have to give them hope. If these people are discarded or nobody disregarded, they are going to resort to what they know best: criminal activities. So when you start looking at how you're going to curb the problems, these are the areas, these are the things that you have to take into consideration. There are programs that you can come up with. Very simple. It's not difficult. Having an understanding of why people do what they do. It's a very small society. We grew up, as much as people would want to believe otherwise, we grew up as families. Everybody's called auntie, uncle. You sit by my house, you're given something to eat. We still practice that. We still counsel people who come and realize, listen, you're going down a wrong path. I heard about you. This is the situation. And not on a daily basis, but on a very regular basis, they always come. I don't know why. And we have discussion. You look like somebody I can talk to. And listen, if you listen to these people, you will understand why it is absolutely necessary for government. If you want to change it from a peace program to a rehabilitation program, or whatever program you want to call. But my heart goes out to these people. They have to find food. They have children. They have to feed them. They can't work. How are you going to survive? A man comes out of prison, has nowhere to live, have nowhere to go. He's going to commit criminal activities because he wants to get back in there. He wants some place to stay. We might think that prison is hard, but to some of them, it's a place where you can sleep, you don't have to pay any bills, and you can eat. You have to change that mindset. And that is one of the reasons why the government introduced the peace program, where these people were put in a program of rehabilitation. At the same time, you start to identify areas that they are strong at and create entrepreneurs. I see some good artists coming out of the prison. And there's a market for it. But nobody follow them up. You only start to pay them attention when you think that they were part of a crime. We have to change this mindset. Another thing, that social program, there are lots and lots of, we have handicapped people in our society. There are people who cannot work. There are mothers who are looking after their handicapped children. That $500 came in. The idea behind PAP, Poverty Alleviation Program, was a very good one. Very good. And I don't care what people say about the unity construct and what would have happened. They made blunders, big ones. Because of that, the blunders why they're out of office today. Good. But they had good programs. The Poverty Alleviation Program was a good program. When you look and you see what the cost of living is like, you tell people to eat healthy. How you can eat healthy when you're going home with $350 a week? Less than $3,000 a month. The idea of tapping up your salary. It can pay electricity. It can pay water. There are lots of people who can't afford, and they honestly can't afford. People who would have fallen on hard times. But you see, when you are benefiting and when you yourself are getting, you don't care about the other people who are suffering. But we have a lot of people who are suffering out there, and that is why people vote for governments. For individual, and that is why we have a system of representatives. And that is why when you come to me during election time, fooling me, if I tell you my house is leaking, in 10 minutes time somebody's on my roof when you want to get in. When you get in, and I call, as a matter of fact, I can't get you. But when you want to get in, my phone, I could talk to people who are aspiring to be prime minister every day. They come to your house. They have discussions. Then, you're making a lot of sense. They want advice of what programs in the house, what you think programs that are necessary. But when they're in office, they don't know you anymore. They're ungrateful. That's who they are. Pack of greedy, ungrateful individuals there, and they're all the same. They're none better than none. And they use us at all times. And at the end of the day, they're multi-millionaires. And when you ask them for help, they say they don't have money. That is the sick and sad part of the whole situation. But they know how to use you when they want to get in. And all of us fall prey to that. But I'm going to tell you, those of you who are in there now, you're happy. But stop ill-treating people who are not there. Stop looking down and victimizing people, because you're only there for 5 years. And you're going to come out just like the others. But only that you're going to already enrich yourself so you don't have any problem. Because that's what you all go in there and do. But that is what it is. We have to stop being who we are now. When you send home somebody, they have no food. They can't pay their bills. They have commitments. You are creating criminals because people have to survive. Instead of victimizing people, we thought that you were capable of creating job opportunities. That's what you're supposed to do. Not recycling. You talk about it. You have more retired people in working areas than young people. The young people are still out there, and the retired ones are coming back with 2 salaries, Social Security. They have come back with pension, Social Security, and a salary, plus the perks that they're getting under the table. It's not right. You said it wasn't right then, and you're doing it now. Why? And we as a majority, we sit on the outside. I can't wait for them to come out. No, you have the power to take out. You have the power to put in. We have to do something soon. If we don't, we are all going to perish, even those of you who are in there. But again, let's look at situations. And let me tell people who runs after money and think money is all. The world is seriously looking at a cashless society. And those of you who doesn't know or don't understand what it means that all your money would be in the bank and you won't have any opportunity to spend it as you so please. Meaning, anytime you want to spend your money, it has to come out of the bank. So you don't have the privilege of storing up in a safe or in your home or hiding it there, because if it's not in the bank, you can't use it. And that's what it is. So those of you who are accumulating all of those multi-millions and you can't put them in the bank, it defeats the purpose. The money going to be there and it's going to rotten and it's going to smell stink. Because you're afraid and you can't put it in the bank, because then now you have to give an account of where you got that money from. And it's happening sooner than you expect. So, sooner or later, we would see and we would understand what happened to all the multi-millionaires because the money can't go in the bank. And they would not be able to spend it. The world is not changing. The world have changed. The only thing that is going to make a difference more sooner than later is love. All of us will become equal at one point in time. Money will soon expire. They'll put an expiration date on it. I don't know how much we know. Look at what's happening right now. Climate change wreaking havoc in the whole world. Nobody is spared. We see wildfire in Canada blocking the sunlight in America. Could you imagine? Wildfires are destroying food. We are seeing a war in Ukraine. If you understand that Ukraine provided 85% of wheat, 85% of the wheat that was provided to the world that we use came from Ukraine. Look at what's happening in Ukraine right now. Think about what's happening to our food. Look on the supermarket shelf and you see almost the majority of the food you see genetically engineered. That is what we're eating. We question why everybody's coming down with cancer. Young people are falling down and they're dying. We don't know why. Situations are happening again. COVID-19, new variant, wreaking havoc in China. RSV, all kind of different mutations are happening right now in America. These are people we depend on. We have music festival. We have all the other social gatherings that we're going to have here more sooner than later. These people become affected and infected. Our hospitals still have a serious issue. It's not about building a new one. It's about fixing what we have. Stop wasting money. Demolishing a building and building a new one. Demolishing is much more expensive than building a new one. We have to stop going in and trying to prove ourselves. Let common sense prevail. Everybody is too egoistic. It's a dress parade, and the most who can see the world faster. We are living in serious times. Things are changing faster than we can expect. We hear about the threat of artificial intelligence. They are taking over. People are being replaced. There's a man who have a machine, whereas he would have hired 30 people. The machine can go kill weed, and this is in the agriculture sector. Laser weed, can identify which is the bad ones, and he can get it done much faster than 30 people would have done it. So in all aspects, they are performing surgeries. So don't feel that because, oh, you're in the top of. No, everybody would be affected. We have to see where we at, and maybe when you look and see where we at, we might be able to make that difference. We have to recognize that we are all equal, and sooner or later we need each other. The human risk. We are killing ourselves. Think about the time that we were not here. The world is millions and billions of years old. And we only occupy here for a few thousands. Think about it. I'm going to open the lines and we're going to take some calls so that people can be a part of the program. And let me tell you, it's your views, not voices. We want people who are going to call in, who's going to make a difference. We are not here to criticize without being constructive. We are not here to bring down. We're here to build up. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are all responsible for what is happening around here. Because there's some people who know and they're not talking. There are people who are encouraging. We are having people who are part of the problem to become part of the solution, to find the solution. And that is one of the problems that we're having. We're seeing the same thing happening over and over again. That's why I said government doesn't change. The players do. And that is one of the big problems that we're having. The number you can call is 466-0989, 662-0989, or 762-0989. Those are the numbers that you can call if you want to be a part of the program. Like I said, we are not looking anybody to blame. We are asking people to take on their responsibility. Do what is absolutely necessary. Understand that when you are in government, the monies, your bills are being paid by us, taxpayers. So we are asking you for a chance to help us so that we can help you. That's what it is. Come up with solutions. Come up with ideas how we can make money so that you can spend it. And the rate you're spending money, it sickens me. And I don't know if this is true. And I just hope that it is not true. But it is out there. If it is not true and somebody knows it's not true, can you call me and tell me? We have a situation. Let's take this call and then we're going to have that discussion. Caller, good morning. You're live on Your Views.
Thank you, Sanjo. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I am good.
Okay, then, Sanjo. Sanjo, my biggest thing, my biggest disapproval and hate is liars and thieves. And I think that all people, all politicians who are vying to be leaders of the country, when they get on the political rostrum, they should speak the truth at all times. If telling lies will get you in there, don't tell a lie. Because when they get in there, the lie is going to show them up. Because they're going to do exactly opposite to the lies what they tell.
Mm-hmm.
This administration here, they said that they criticized the former administration, said that all kind of things about people victimized and whatnot. And when they get in there, all of that going to stop. And they're going to increase the money that was paid. I don't know whether it's pepper or pop. The money that was paid, the $500, to help the homeowners take care of their responsibilities in the home. Well, instead of help them, they destroy it.
Yep.
They take it away. And they're going to improve the college fees and whatnot for the people who are going to college, Clarence Fitzroy College. Now when they say they're going to do all of that to help the college students, then it makes no sense that the children they go to college, go waste time up there when they could go to work somewhere and then go to an evening institute, a private one, and learn something. Because how many of them leave other schools and the college up there and cannot get a job?
It's true.
Just like you said earlier, they take back a lot of retirees who get in the pension, the social security, and they get in the what they call it, the grease hand.
Mm-hmm.
in the grease and porks in the hand and on the table thing. Those things are wrong. They are not right. And they criticize the unity government that was there, who were trying to help everybody. Everybody, whether you're Palm Yellow, Palm Labor, whatsoever it is, unity, they fix your roof. Because everybody needs to be comfortable when night come or the daytime come. But now, what else they done? They ain't fix nobody's roof. Not even hang back on a hinge on the gate. Instead of that, every minute, they're concentrating on going away on plane. And when they come back, we haven't seen what they went to go do. Thank you very much, Sandra.
Thank you.
Say more, but I leave it.
Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah.
We have a situation, like I said, I don't know if it's true, but we know that the people out there talking about pardon has been given to Christoph Haber. The how much $1 million that the $100 million has been pardoned. Mr. Prime Minister, I beg, please. There are poor people here who are struggling. The little bit of money that they owe Development Bank is just a drop in the bucket in comparison to what they have. I don't know if it's true, I'm saying. But if it is true, I beg. That is a travesty of justice. What about these poor people who are still struggling? These children who came back from school still not working and can't afford to pay for their bank loans. Let's go for the phone lines and take another call. Caller, you live on your views. Good morning.
Yes, it sounds like grown-up children.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect.
And that is what you have, where people who are benefiting, because they're benefiting, they would call in and make those silly statements that we sound like grown-up children. We are looking at what is affecting us. You and others would have called in and criticized former administrations. But because maybe you are benefiting from the situation, you feel like people, when they complain, they're grown-up children. But they're facts. What we're saying here are the facts. The fact of the matter is people are crying out. People are suffering. And so you, the previous call, the caller who just calling and say that we sound like grown-up children, stop being so selfish. Look at people who cannot help. Don't look at your situation because you're doing well. We are not criticizing, and I have not criticized, and I can. I am saying, and I've said that from the beginning, good morning, sir, and how are you doing? I'm saying from the beginning, and I'm glad that you would have joined me. I hope you'll be a part of my program. I'm saying that I'm not criticizing. I'm saying that people who are responsible should take care of the responsibility. That's what I said. You create certain, or you would have spoken about some scenarios, and we are saying people who are responsible should take care of their responsibilities. Well, I suppose Socrates he's early for his show, and he have sat in with me this morning. I'm grateful. Socrates, you're...
Good morning. I actually was listening to you on the way up. So I thought, wow, coincidentally, it's something that I want to talk about.
Wow.
So I'm glad to be here to see you. And you have a right to criticize.
Definitely.
Right? Whether persons agree with you or not, you're entitled to your opinion. You have a right to weigh in on whatever social issue. So don't apologize for criticizing. It's our job. They're entitled to the opinion. You're entitled to render yours. Simple as that.
Thank you, and I really appreciate that. You know, we're in a situation where, and just like you said, I don't really make any apologies for criticizing. I said a lot of times I want to make sure that my criticism is constructive and that we can bring about change and we can make people aware of people who are in position become more aware of what is happening. Because when they get into office, they become detached. They don't have an understanding of what is happening. And so sometimes it is good for you to, at all times, it is good for you to talk for them to understand. But it's not the government who's the problem. It's the people who follows them. That is
The apologists.
Yes, they're the ones that pose most of the problems. Give the government an impression like, oh, look at some people still don't care what is happening. I mean, we have to be careful about the way we go about doing things. You were able to and every administration, they have people who would criticize and people who would agree. And I'm saying that when your administration take office, who would have criticized the previous administration and would have gone in there and do the same or worse, why shouldn't you criticize?
You are exposed to the same thing because you're being judged. We elect officials to function in a certain manner, and when they don't live up to our expectation, we have a right to reprimand them. You can call it criticism, whatever. We have a right to say, hey, fellow, this is not working out. Let's have a discussion. What's going on? I believe in getting all the entities to the table and having a discussion, because the finger pointing leads nowhere. In this current state of affair, all the social partners, government officials, opposition leaders need to sit and craft solution. When the public at large see the leaders sitting together and not being decisive, oh, is this fault and that fault, you have solution.
Definitely.
It takes a village to raise a
Raise a
child.
child, we say
It
it all the
takes a
time.
village to address the problems. So each and every one of us, citizens, government officials, NGO organization, have an obligation to coalesce now and say, we have a problem, let's find out. But it's your fault, and it's your fault, and you saw the peace program. And I like the way you were breaking down the objective of the peace program, the benefits, how you form people. Because when a person leaves that prison with that stigma, they can't get a job, they have no skills, you got a major problem. So there were elements of that I actually supported, because you have to reach people in their situation and elevate them.
Definitely.
Oh, he get a car rental? Yes. We become a productive citizen. And that's what we need.
Definitely. That's the idea. When people are happy,
Yeah.
the whole country is happier. When you have people who are sad and angry, everybody feels you will have to be a repercussion of that. The violent activities, we are affected by it.
It's high time that we learn from the mistakes that we've made in the past. But when we become politically polarized, we get defensive. And I've heard some person on radio being apologists for the government.
Yep.
And you have to take your licks, because when you were in a position, you were giving licks also.
That is how they got in. You got in by showing up, criticizing what the previous administration was doing. You went out and you said, we can do better. We can increase it from 500 to 1,000. We would change it up to X amount. You were giving...
You raise people's expectation.
And they went out because everybody wants to be in a better position.
Yes.
They went out and they voted for you. And you expect those same people to sit down when you come back and you can't fulfill the promises that you were made. You expect the people to sit down and say, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Every last one of us have to be able to exercise maturity. Until we can do that collectively as a people, we're going nowhere fast. I don't care what you say. The last time I saw the entire federation come together in one proud moment, it was 2008, 2009, when Kim Collins,
Yeah, I think it was 2009, I think it was. Yeah.
when he won gold,
Yeah.
and he waved our national flag
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah.
Everybody felt a sense of pride, national pride. And we came together once big.
one
It
of
wasn't
us.
politicized at all.
Exactly.
And we celebrated, and that sense of pride. And then we came to a place where there was stigma. We were hung head in shame because of the crime rate and the stigma, the mother capital of the world. And we celebrated, I sang no more at that. And it was a sense of peace and pride when that disappeared.
Yeah.
Now we're going back into that again for whatever reason. All the social scientists, all the pundits, etc., the government, leader of opposition, the clergy, the other NGOs, and the people must look at that forum, senior leaders coming together for that social discourse And then they say, well, look at Timothy and Dr. Joe getting on, and look at this and that, because we have a problem, a wound that's affecting us. So collectively, we have to come together. So the finger pointing here and there means nothing in terms of solution.
It's not solving any problem. Because if Joe is going to say Timothy did it, and Timothy is going to say Joe did it, it's happening still. We have to come together, and if, just like you said, if they can see that they're all working together, then they would feel, man, come on, man, we can try something. I mean, and we always say a child learns, live what they learn. They mimic. And if people see that the government working together, and I always believe, like I said, government doesn't change, players do. So if you start
policies can change.
Huh?
Policies can
Policies
change.
would change,
The structure is the same. The mindset is the same.
It's supposed to be the same.
Feed your religion, keeping poverty, you follow me?
Yeah.
All the way, and that's still happening.
Exactly.
Feed your religion, keeping poverty, and you have hope. But I'm saying that I have been accused of all the years used to hit labor, And now the government changed. I decided to give the then incoming government a grace period.
I said it. Give him a chance.
Right now, I'm giving Dr. Joe a grace period.
You and I on the same wavelength. I said it's only fair that Dr. Joe is new. He didn't study politics. He's a medical doctor.
Correct.
There's certain things that he would now learn from experience. He would have experienced certain situations and he would have better solutions. So give Dr. Joe a chance. But that is not going to stop people from talking.
Right.
When people start to talk, Dr. Joe should listen to what people are saying, and in your mind, when you have your spare time, you come up with solutions on your own.
This is
Then
after he would have listened to his advisors. And sometimes the person you have advising you may have their own agenda of vendettas. Fire him, send home that, and because it seems to be a popular sentiment at the time, you do that.
And this
as
is
you
what-
said, when you send home people, you're depriving them of supporting their families.
creating problems that we're having now.
Yeah.
And this is what I said. Advisors are on the list because sometimes government wants to pay you for personal things that you have done. It's a fact, and I'm not going to
It
hide.
happens, yes.
So what I'm saying, Dr. Joe, you have to listen to people who have really the country's at heart, because not people who, it's long time I wanted to get in to do that to Sandro, or I want to do that to Socrates. You are new, and you should be given that chance to recognize what the problem. We're not looking for solutions one time. We are looking to see the discussions and hear the discussions that are going into that direction. But this victimizing because somebody say, get rid of Socrates, he used to talk about the government. Socrates
That
this is what is happening. They're sitting down. They're concentrating on victimizing instead of building, because somebody out there felt like they were out there for too long. 7 years was a long time for them, not recognizing that some people have been out there for 20-something years. And government cannot.
I think most of us are about what's best for the country. And sometimes we allow the emotions to get in our way. Rather being objective and rational, the emotions, somebody say, hey, and you fire back, etc. And it goes back and forth. What we have now is a crisis.
Serious
There
crisis.
is now an advisory out there from our major tourism source markets about traveling to St. Kitts.
Yeah.
That affects every
Single
single
one
on the
of us.
ground, but our national image out there has taken a black eye. Not this party or that party followers, our national image.
But you
Right
know
now
what,
it's taking a
happens, Socrates? If the government can recognize that there's a problem in St. Lucia and send some of our peacemakers to St. Lucia, how are you not recognizing that we have a crisis of 60 murders in 6
I
months?
think that was before we had this last escalation. And we have to be able to assist regionally because there are times we have them coming to assist also.
But that was in a time when we would have had 12 murders. And 12 was a lot.
What's St. Lucia's stats?
I don't know what they statistics. I've been hearing St. Lucia in the news.
I saw Calypso last night. I was watching where lady spoke about 200 in the ghetto area. That's maybe exaggerating, but they do have a problem also.
Okay, good. And we are having a
We're
problem.
having a problem.
So,
And they will reciprocate
and I'm not saying that
accordingly.
it's wrong to send our forces out there, but I am saying that you recognize.
By
that
the way,
we
we're
have a
listening to voices. Eh?
Oh, we are invoicing.
We're listening to voices, so we can have to segue to our sponsors and get you.
Well, before you start again,
So you're not my guest. You're not my guest. So
it's easy. Well, let me.
you sign off and then we bring
yeah.
in the people voices.
Well, you see, it was easy. I was looking at him, recognizing that I was infringing on his time, but he was the one who was encouraging me. So I was grateful for that. It's Friday. Rain came this morning. I was so shocked. It sounded foreign on my roof when I recognized that it was raining. So we have had some of the heat wave.
Yes.
It's been, one drop makes a difference, and I'm grateful for that. But we still have to admonish people that we are in an era of drought. We had water issues before. I've seen people still watering, washing their cars, having water running, not paying attention that, the reason why I suffer at night is because of the things that they do during the daytime. We have to be aware that we are in a crisis, and we have to make sure that we do make the necessary adjustment. It was a pleasure. It's Friday, and I have to promote Them Times on 4th Street, Them Times Bar. I'm still waiting for the chicken and fries, but it's just what it is. It is Friday. It's a local bar. We have now recognized that our local people have been pushed in the back. I am not going to let the same thing happen to Them Times Bar on 4th Street, and I'm not promoting it because I feel like he's a local, and I know the food is good. The environment is a great one to be in, and it's a place that you can distress on a Friday. So for those of you who are looking somewhere to go right after work, walk up to 4th Street, Them Times Bar. You would not be disappointed. My name is Sandra Kuliataton. It was a pleasure, and looking forward to doing this again next week if my throat would allow me to. Weekend accidents is a big problem right now. Be careful what you're doing. Do not drink and drive. The life that you save might very well be your own. I stay tuned. Voices is up next with Sacred.
And thanks for being the host. Voice well, the guest, and
Hello.
Trouble, or you'll get shook. Take it sweet.